in my latest KVK, we just finished one of the biggest ever KVKs here in Kingdom 2359. I managed to get a new personal record for kill points. You guys can see here, I managed to get 194.5 million kills gained this KVK. So, like, pretty good performance overall, but I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed that I didn't manage to get over 200 million. I really wanted to get over 200 million because it obviously looks way cooler on the autark here, but you know what, I guess I'll be happy with 194.5, which is equivalent to 3.8 billion kill points gained. So we still managed to beat the record, which is pretty awesome. So anyway, guys, that is my performance there from the latest KVK in 2359. And now I'm going to show you guys which marches that I actually used here. This is my 7 march lineup here. Like, we just quickly scroll through. That's the 7 march lineup. But I will quickly explain that this was obviously a little bit different at the start of KVK. Like, when we had Zone 5 and stuff, I'm only running 5 marches. So there's a little bit of a difference there in the early stages. But once we unlocked all 7 marches, this is what I was running. So let's go through them one by one, guys, and I'll actually show you guys the gear as well. First of all, we use the QSH YSG. Now, this is really just the best march that I'm sure you guys, many of you guys would agree. It is like the highest KP owning march. Like, it always gets positive trades, especially with my gear. I've got really, really nice gear there, as you guys can see. So most of this is like all level 5. We managed to get the level 4 for the KVK helm and the weapon as well. So yeah, very happy with that gear. Then if we move over to the wedge formation, now one thing I will just quickly explain as well. In my KVK, like, there was maybe one slight difference with this armament set that I'm showing you guys right now. Because this was actually, when we had our Kingsland, that was before they made the change with the wedge formation. So that was when they released Wedge 2.0. So the only difference was I didn't actually have focus fire. Like, I had the other one on there that was giving me like a 5% skill damage boost. But now I've just decided to keep focus fire because why not? I'll save 3 conversion stones and I'm only missing out on 1% skill damage. So, like, I don't really care too much about that. But in general, this is what I used here for the main archer armament. So very nice set. And I'll talk about like a little bit what my future plans are later on. Let's go to the next march. So my second archer march is the Zuge with Philip here. And we'll go into the gear as well, so you guys can see the gear. So again, the gear is very nice. Like, I've put a lot of work into my archer stuff. You guys can probably agree. Like, I've really focused a lot on archers, coming from like an archer rally background as well in my previous kingdom. So I did put a lot of work into that, and now it translates well into the field too. That's also why I had that level 5 horn there, in case you're wondering why I put all of those awakenings into the horn. That's because of my previous rally leading experience in the old kingdom. And then if we go look into the armaments as well, so we have 2 like Wedge 2.0 inscriptions there. So they're very nice inscriptions. And then I've just decided to keep this one for now. Like, I really don't see the point in spending conversion stones into upgrading this rare. So I'm honestly just going to save the conversion stones for something else more important. And I'm happy to keep this as it is. And then we have the Artisan as well, like 3% skill damage, again, just for a normal inscription. Like, that's still pretty good. I'm honestly happy with that. And then the stats overall are pretty decent. Like, this, again, for an open field march, this is pretty good stats. Speaking about this march though, by the way, this is actually the march that I decided not to run in Zone 5. Like, I'm sure many of you guys already know that if you're subscribed to the channel and you watch the live streams. You would have seen that I didn't actually run this march in Zone 5, and I only introduced it later on when we unlocked additional marches. And that's because, honestly, this is my like least performing march out of the lineup that I have right now. Which I know is surprising because, again, like, we just looked at the gear and stuff, and the gear is obviously good. We have some good armaments as well. But, you know, we all know right now archers are not in the best state of the game. And when I say that, okay, excuse me, I do not mean QSH. QSH is fantastic. I'm talking about like the second March, obviously. That's where we're struggling, which is why we have the new Archer commander coming very, very soon into the game. But I'm talking about my last KVK experience where we had to run Zuge and Philip, and it really, it wasn't doing amazing, I'm not going to lie. I did also temporarily try to run like the Herman with Zuge as well, instead of the Zuge with Philip. And honestly, overall, like, there wasn't a ton of difference there between the two marches, but I did find I overall preferred the Zuge with Philip. You could maybe argue that the Herman is better because it, like, is making your QSH more powerful, with the poison stacks, like, making the enemy take additional skill damage, which, of course, is what QSH is doing to the enemy. So maybe you could make that argument, but overall, I just found that the Zuge Philip was doing a better job for me, so that's what I ended up going with. And then when we go to the infantry march here, so this was the first KVK that I ran Sun Tzu with William Wallace here. So he is like obviously a relatively new commander in the roster, and I found like it honestly went really, really well. I'd say this was probably my second favorite march after the QSH. But interesting though, like so many people have told me that he's comparable to, well, not really comparable, but he's on the same level as QSH, and I simply wouldn't say that that is true. He's a fantastic commander. He did really well. And I did try to run him a couple of times, like in the altar and stuff. We ran like Sun Tzu with BQ as well, which are some of the better pairing options for Sun Tzu. But again, I just wouldn't really say he's on that level with QSH. Again, some people are probably going to argue, all right, my gear, it's not up there with the archers. Like, let's be honest about that. There's the gear right there, guys. It's still pretty solid gear. It's very good for open field. We've got most of the troop capacity unlocked here. We've got all the march speed that we need as well. So this is like a full march speed set right here. We're getting that set bonus, 10% march speed plus the level 5 boots. So like you can't argue with that. But in general, just not up there with the QSH. So, and I don't think that even if the gear was a little bit better, I just don't really see it being on that same caliber that some people have described Sun Tzu as being on. But anyway, again, still fantastic march. No complaints really for me there. Now, if we look at the pincer formation that I'm using here on Sun Tzu, so again, really solid inscriptions here. So 2 legendary inscriptions, 2 rares, pretty good stats as well, with some all damage to top it off. And that's what I've been running there for the main infantry march there. Now, moving on to the next infantry march, we ran BQ with Liuchi. So these are 2 really, really strong commanders in the game. And then that's the gear there. So I actually did quite a lot of upgrades on this gear set for this KVK. Previously, this set was nowhere near as good as it looks right now. Like, again, I know it's still got a lot of work to do, but I did spend a lot of materials and blueprints upgrading this, or like awakening the set to what you can see it is right now, guys. So I would say I'm pretty happy with this march. Like, I feel like it performed quite well for the gear that I have selected here on this march. Like, considering there's no crits on this march, honestly, I'm pretty happy with how this march did. It overall performed like pretty positive. And then if we look at the pincer formation, so I actually recently made this set as well. This is the first KVK that I ran with this second pincer formation on my account. And like, I think for a second set, this is pretty good as well. Like, the stats are nice. We've got some decent inscriptions here. Even the normal inscriptions, like not including the specials or the rares, like we still have some pretty nice stats here, like extra health. And we've got that extra normal damage as well, which, is converting to additional smite damage. So I'm quite happy with this second set here. And again, I did recently make this set. It did come from a combination of like my old wedge set that I had on Scipio Prime previously. And I also had like an old arc formation set. And then I just put them all together, put the best of the best together. And then here you go, guys. I've got my second pincer set right there. And this was the first KVK I ran with that. So it went really, really well. And then moving on to the cavalry march, guys. So I was running this from the very start as well. This is definitely like my best cav march. I was running the GG with Achilles here. Again, I made some pretty significant upgrades to the equipment set for this KVK. Like, I knew that this was going to be a big KVK, which obviously it turned out to be huge, and we had like a 5-day Kingsland. So, you know, it definitely worked out well that I upgraded all these sets before we started off. So we opted in for like the additional troop capacity for this march here. And that's where we're at. So the gear is getting there. Like, it's definitely on track. It's looking pretty nice. We got some good crits, and the awakening is on its way. So looking at the Delta formation, we've got two legendaries, and we have 2 rares with some really nice stats as well. Again, this is just open field, so I think it's pretty good as it is. And then if we go to the next cavalry march here, we are running the Arthur with Hector. I did actually max Hector in the previous KVK to the one that I just played in, and yeah, he's been doing really well. Like, I'm very happy that I made that investment at the time into Hector. He's definitely made running 2 cavalry or 2 Delta cavalry marches a lot easier, I would say, especially because I'm running Philip like elsewhere with Zuge right now. So it just means that I can do that while also running like Arthur with Hector instead of Philip. So I'm very glad that I made that investment. It's been good for me so far. So you can see that the gears here are starting to get like a little bit less amazing. They're not quite as good as the ones at the top, but still pretty decent stats. Like, we got 4 crits here, and we've only just started working on the awakening for this march here. So definitely not as good as the other ones. And then this is the Delta, the second Delta formation that we have. Again, pretty nice stats overall. We got 1 legendary inscription, 2 rares, and a really good normal inscription here, giving that extra normal damage. And then if we move on to the final march that I use for open field, that would be the Garja Gonzalo. Only thing about this march, look, it gets pretty great trades when you're in the right position. We all know this about Siege by now, I'm sure. But it is very situational, and when you're moving around a lot of the enemies, like constantly coming in to attack your murder ball, it's not exactly the right march that I would personally want to use. But for now, like, overall, it got really great trades when I used it at the right moment. But there were definitely times when I was like, okay, I can't really run this much right now. And unfortunately, I didn't have an alternative. So we basically had to run like 6 marches at certain points instead of running the 7. But when I was able to, we definitely did run this as the 7th march. And you can see that I do have the full legendary engineering set here, including the accessory as well. So, and then if we look at the inscriptions, honestly, it's nothing like crazy or whatever, but like, we've got 3 rares. The stats are okay, like, they're just average stats. I haven't really put a whole lot of work into it. Like, I kind of just said, okay, I'm kind of happy with how it is right now. It's still performing well. It's getting good trades. And then I'm just focusing on the other marches. Now, I want to talk about what I would like to work on the account over time to make it even stronger for the next KVK. Who knows, maybe we can go for another record next KVK. We got 3.8 billion kill points this KVK that I just finished. Maybe we can improve that in the next KVK as well. What I would like to improve, like I said, this was the march that did struggle for me the most. That was that Zuge with Philip. But now that we have the new Archer Commander coming out very shortly, definitely will be maxing that new Archer open field commander. Look, either way, I'm going to have the commanders to deal with that situation when the new Archer Commander comes out. So, like, my theory is it could either work with Herman is a big thing that people have been talking about, or it could work with Shajar as well. We know that the new Archer Commander is going to do some kind of true damage. So it's going to have a synergy there, I believe, with Shajar. That definitely could be an option. And the good thing is, like I said, I do have all of those commanders maxed. So potentially next KVK, we might be running something like QSH with Zuge. We're just going to get rid of YSG for now. And then we can start running the Herman with the Arsalan Commander. Or we can even do the Shajar with Arsalan, depending on whichever one does better there. Now that we've discussed that, I just want to briefly go over the equipment, like talking about sort of what my long-term plan is there for the equipment-wise as well. So for this gear set right now, I actually think that this is pretty much almost as good as I want it to be in terms of like open field effectiveness. And the reason why is like, I think once we get these to level 4, like the weapon and the helm, we're already getting that damage buff on the map, and that is pretty much as good as you want it to be for open field effectiveness. Like, no, obviously we know there's always going to be better stuff available, but I'm talking about like in terms of getting the most value for my account and what it is right now. So I'm kind of happy with that at the moment. This one, I'm gonna slowly work on the chest piece a little bit, get that to level 3. I don't really care too much about the level 4 stuff for this one. Again, I'm just looking at getting like extra damage on the map, not really so much to like the rallied armies and garrisons. So we'll get that to level 3. So there's a couple of improvements that we're going to do here. And then on this infantry march, I will be doing something similar here. So get the helm up to level 4. That's the plan. Get the gloves up to level 4. We're going to leave everything else as it is. And then pretty much we're going to do a very, very similar thing here with the cavalry stuff. So you can see that there is obviously a trend going on with all of my marches. Like, we're just going to be focusing on getting all those damage buffs up to level 4. And we've already pretty much achieved that on this infantry march. We just need to start critting. It's not going to be a super big priority for me at the moment. I think the only one I'm going to really try to crit, which I've already started, is the boots. So it's at 75% right now. So I will definitely crit that once I get the blueprints. I don't have the blueprints right now. But once we get the blueprints, I will be critting that. And that's probably like all I'm going to do. And then basically going into like the long-term stuff, like once we get all the damage buffs provided for the open field for these marches. And like I said, we're definitely on track for doing that. But once that's out of the way, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on my leadership set. And really the reason why, it's good that I have the foundation right now for this leadership set, but it's not really where it needs to be to use it as like a 7th march or something. Like, so what I mean by that is like, let's say if I want to bring out, you know, a 3rd cavalry or archer or infantry march, and I want to run this leadership set here, I'd ideally like to have this much more awakened. So I think what the long-term plan for me is, like, once we do all of those other projects that we just spoke about, I think I'm going to start awakening this as much as possible. I'm really going to focus on leadership and just get that awakened. And I think that it's going to be very versatile for me to use. Like, I can use it in the open field. You know, we spoke earlier in the video about like when the siege is struggling, and it's just not an appropriate time to use siege. So once I work on this leadership set, I can start going, okay, this is not the time to use siege. We're going to bring out our 3rd archer set or whatever it is. And we can just rely on this leadership gear here that I'm going to really focus on awakening as much as possible. And then it's also going to serve another purpose. You know, it is already set for Heraclius, so it's going to be like my garrison set as well. You know, speaking of city garrison, like, I know you guys are going to call me absolutely crazy for this, but there you go, guys. I literally have a pretty cracked out Tercio set right here. We already have some great inscriptions, like 3 legendary inscriptions. So like, we've already gone kind of all in a way for the Tercio formation. It's really been like one of my long-term dreams, I guess you could say, to like survive a big sort of Imperium swarm type rally. One day I would love to be able to show you guys or make a video like, guys, look, I just took a imprisonment and survived, or I want to make something like that happen in the future. Right now, I don't think I'm strong enough to do that, but we're definitely working on that. So we've got the Tercio formation sorted out. Now I just need to get the leadership set a little bit upgraded. And then hopefully one day you guys will see that video uploaded in maybe a year or 2, who knows. But anyway, that's kind of my long-term plan. I just wanted to discuss that with you guys so you know like what I'm going to be working on the account. Now guys, like one more thing that I wanted to go into is really just the speed ups of my account and like what I'm planning to do with this, because this is all part of my future plan as well. So you can see that I have been saving up these training speed ups, and like I've honestly been saving these for a pretty long time. Like, it's been almost 2 years now that I've been saving these. So 2,400 days is a lot for me to have for training speed ups. And really what I would ideally like to do, I'll tell you guys my plan. I'm pretty much planning to save for another all troop type Zenith buff. Now you guys can see on my account, like we already do have the 12% troop defense Zenith skin. You know, I'm not complaining, like it's a great skin and all. It's really good. But obviously, like, these stats are always getting increased. Like, it is what it is. That's just how the game is designed. So, like, pretty much ever since I got that Zenith skin, like, I just started saving these speed ups again. And that was, like, literally 2 years ago. It's crazy, but that's how long it's taken. And I think I'm nearly there. Like, we definitely nearly have enough to do another Zenith of power. So, basically, here's my plan, guys. All right. So, hopefully, next month, we know we're going to have a Zenith of power. Like, I've already confirmed that with VIP support. I checked with them and they did confirm, yes, there's going to be a Zenith of power in June. But they didn't actually clarify which type of Zenith this is going to be in June. So we don't know, like, what type it's going to be. But basically, that goes into my plan. If it is the all-troop Zenith buff, of course, we are 100% going to push for that. And, you know, again, I'm in 2359, so I'm going to have to train a lot of power to get that Zenith buff. Like, there's no sniping Zenith in the last day or whatever and getting it for, like, a cheap amount of power. Like, you can't do that in 2359. There's going to be so many people pushing for Zenith here that if you want to get that skin, like, you want to get the permanent skin, you're going to have to get the guaranteed amount. And for a all-troop Zenith type, like, that's 60 million power, and that's absolutely huge. So that's going to use up all of my training speed ups, and then I'm probably going to have to use some of my, like, regular speed ups as well. But, you know, it is what it is. Like, I'm going to do it. I've been saving for so long. Like I said, it's literally been 2 years I've been saving this up for. So, like, I'm prepared to do it when the time comes. Going back into my plan, if the new Zenith of power is not the one that I want, like, let's say it's, like, archers or something, which it honestly could be. It might be archers. That's fine. Like, it gives me a bit more time to save up. The reason why I'm telling you all this, guys, is because I've actually just been selected to play in the 2359 Osiris League team, which is really sick. Like, we've been working really hard all off season. Well, not, and I don't just mean this off season. I mean, like, the off season before we even had KVK. We've been working so hard to practice for Osiris League. So I'm super excited to play in a competitive ARC team and just challenge ourselves to see how far we can go in this competition. We have a very difficult realm to play in this time in 2359. So, like, hopefully we can go as far as possible. I'd love to try and get in the top 4, but we'll have to see. It's going to kind of depend on, like, the draw as well. But that goes back into my whole plan of getting the Zenith skin. Okay, so next month, it's, like, pretty good timing for Osiris League. Because if we look at my account right now, like, again, I know maybe a lot of you guys will think 150 million power. Like, wow, you don't really need that much more power. I mean, guys, think again. Trust me. When I show you this alliance right here, this is 2359. We look at individual power rankings. Like, I'm number 78 in power right here. So I'm not up there in power right now. Like, we have so many other big players in this kingdom. So I'm actually, like, extremely lucky to be even on the main Osiris League team. And I'm very grateful for the leadership for selecting me for that. And I'm definitely going to work hard to prove my worth for the team. But that goes back into, like, the Zenith push. I really do need to train some more troops for the Osiris League tournament. Like, these are my troops right now. And I can tell you guys, this is not going to be enough for Osiris League. Like, I'm going to have to train some more, especially some Cav. Because, like, we use a lot of Cav in Osiris League. So basically, like, I'm really praying that next month we have the all-troop Zenith skin, because that's going to work out absolutely perfect for me. I can just pump out the new 60 million power. That's going to work out absolutely perfect for Osiris League. It's going to work out great for KVK. And then I also get a new Zenith buff that I've been saving for 2 years. If the Zenith skin comes out and it's not the one that I want, that's when option B comes into play. And I'm just going to go, all right, look, I'm not going to train 40 million power for this Zenith skin because I don't really want that other Zenith skin. Like, if it is archer defense or whatever, I just don't really want it. So in that case, I think what I'm going to do, I'll push up to maybe 2 million T5 cabs just so that it, like, strengthens my account for Osiris League. And then I can play at a competitive level. Basically, that means that I can save all the speed ups for the Zenith of power that I actually want to participate in. Like, I know it's going to use some of my training speed ups no matter what, but it means that I can still participate in the Zenith of power later on when I choose. So that's pretty much where I'm at right now. I just wanted to kind of like let you guys know. That's all the stuff that I'm going to be working on my account. So there's like a lot of stuff that I've been thinking about, but I'm also very excited for what's to come. Also, guys, let me know what you think about my plans. Like, what would you do differently, if anything? Let me know what you think about that in the comments. I'd be very curious how you guys would approach this in your own way. And don't forget to drop a like if you did enjoy the video. Subscribe to the channel as well, so you don't miss out on future videos. Thank you so much for your time, guys, and I hope that you have a great weekend. I'll see you guys in the next video.